Well, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween, everybody.
We didn't make it to Orlando this year, or anywhere.
No, we didn't.
So
that's it. So that's the Halloween episode. We did not go anywhere.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Good night.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Good night! Thanks for writing.
Yeah, Lucifer, they all say hi. All right.
No,
Well, it's like in light of what's going on these days. I think this year. I mean, I'm sure that someone had done it before, but I've never heard of it before. These drive-through haunted houses. Like, it's not. I mean, hay rides have been a thing forever, and we used to do the one at Great Adventure back in the day when they still did that. There's still a bunch of those around, usually independent, outside of parks. But driving your own car, through a haunt, like, I don't know. I had never done that, and I don't know if, again, I don't know that anyone was or wasn't doing it, but it's bigger, I guess, this year because of what's going on in the world.
and it makes sense just in terms of what theme parks had done, because I know at least Hershey does like a drive-through Christmas thing, right?
Oh yeah, like that's a light display.
Yeah, and I know, and Great Adventure like did that 1 or 2 years or something.
I remember that. Yeah, it didn't last long.
So, these drive-through things have been around. They have existed before, but now it's Halloween's turn. It's the haunt turn.
Well, yeah, drive-through safari, which came back this year.
Drive-through safari, Great Adventure, right? Where you drive your own car. So, I did do a drive-through haunt. I had to do it because I was really curious to see what that was like, what that experience was like. And it might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't know if places will continue this next year, because I don't know what the world will look like next year. But this could be my only opportunity to do a drive-through haunt, so I had to do it. And the one I did was on Long Island. It was all the way out in Yaphank.
Whoa.
That's a bit of a drive for me. That was about an hour drive out east.
Wow, yeah.
And it's Gateway's Haunted Playhouse. That's like the overall thing. The actual drive-through haunt was called The Forgotten Road.
Oh, okay. So they came up with a reason while you're driving. That's kind of cool.
Because they do have, I think, an outdoor haunt that you can walk through.
And did you do that or no?
No, I just did the drive-through, and it was very interesting. I'll start off by saying that it was good. I did like it overall. It was much better than I expected.
To start here, I mean, we, I wasn't opposed to doing this. We just really don't have any around where we are, as I'm not on Long Island anymore. So we just couldn't find one that was a reasonable distance to do. Yeah, we were willing to go maybe up to about an hour, but we couldn't find any that were even 2 hours. We would have to go 2.5, 3 of a drive to get one. So it was kind of not worth it.
Yeah. I really wanted to do one, but I'm like, we're going to spend 8 hours in the car for like 1 hour of, or less, what is it, 20 minutes of fun?
Yeah, it wouldn't have really been worth it for us. So that's the only reason why we hadn't tried one out. But I'm glad you got to do one, so we can talk about it here. So I guess my first question is, how many zombies did you run over?
I was wondering that, like, if they're jumping out and scaring you, how are you going to not hit one with your car?
We'll get there. So the first thing is, of course, you have to buy a ticket before you go. I don't think you could buy a ticket there. I think you had to set up a time ahead of time.
Okay, well, I guess, yeah. Then my first question is, what's the rate for this? What's the going rate for this?
It's not that cheap.
Oh, boy.
It was $40 per car.
Ooh.
So I guess the incentive is to fill the car so that it becomes cheaper per person.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's no limit to people in the car. It's just 40 per car no matter what.
Well, I know there are certain restrictions on the type of vehicle that they'll allow in there. any regular car's fine, but you can't drive like a dump truck through there or something, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, you can't come in a bus or something.
Yeah, I think they're drawing the line there.
All right.
Because that Makes would be sense. An abuse. So I did take my parents. I guess I kind of forced them to go. Well, I mean, they do enjoy a haunt every now and again. They've done Haunted Graveyard at Lake Compounds, and so I thought they would actually have a good time. Plus, I didn't want to just go by myself. It's always fun with people. All right, so we get there, and the whole drive-through experience is in a park. Not like a theme park. Like a
nature park?
Yeah.
Well, like a public park?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
With trails and picnic pavilions and like usually those barbecue grills.
Yep.
You can use.
So South Haven Park is where they had this. And right away, it was a little creepy because when I pulled off the road into it, there's no lights at first, and all of a sudden you're just like in the woods in the dark, and because the ticket booth is a little ways in, so it set the stage pretty well. I mean, that wasn't on purpose, I guess, but it worked. And then so then you get to the booth, and the lady asked me, "Do you have the podcast, or did you download the podcast, or something like that?" And then, of course, the first thing that I thought for like a split second was, "Thanks for writing? What is she talking about?"
I've been recognized. Like, are you doing the podcast right now?
Like for a split second, yeah, I was like, "Wait, is she? She's not talking about." No, that wasn't what it was. So I didn't. I just said, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And she said, so then she said, "Well, does your car have a CD player?" I said, "Yeah." So then I said, "Okay, I'll just give you a CD then." So I got an old-fashioned burned CD.
You're kidding me.
Because they give you the soundtrack for the thing.
That's cool.
It would be even more. It'd be greater if it was like a tape, a cassette.
Sure.
Or like, do you have a cassette player?
What about 8-track? Like, how far back does this go?
You have an 8-track. So I guess you could have downloaded something ahead of time to play off your phone.
Either that, or I don't know or streaming something or something. So I guess it was really a good move on their part to do that. Instead of having the person in the car fumble with their phone and trying to find the thing and trying to set it up where you can hear it and the whole thing, because maybe your car doesn't have Bluetooth, or you don't have the right wire to hook it up, or whatever it is. It was actually really cool that it was just, all right, here's a CD, you're good to go, problem solved.
And you got to keep it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's yours.
So there are numbers on trees, and the number corresponds to the track number, and there's like a little blinking light on the numbers to grab your attention so that you don't miss going to the next track. So right away, I knew that these people had thought this through. They really took the time to figure out how to do this. So I was impressed right away. So as soon as you leave the ticket booth, the first track number 1 is right there. So you start right away. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool because they did a whole backstory, and they pretended like you were listening to a radio show with like a shock jock or something, and you're supposed to be listening to conversations of employees from the park, and they're saying, we're spotting some strange things out there. I don't know what's going on.
I said I got static.
Mike, I can't hear you. Mike, I can't hear you. Just fix it.
All right. I'm gonna do what I can, but it's really, really creepy out here. Did you hear that? You hear that?
What?
Hello?
What? Mike, you're cutting in and out.
I hear carnival music coming through the radio. I hear carnival music on 103.1. Do you?
Carnival? No, I just hear the classic hits that we always play.
I don't really know what the story was. I wasn't really paying attention because I was driving the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the story was. Something about a escaped lunatic, and her sister is on the radio show though, and I don't really know.
But don't go in the shed, right?
But don't go in the shed. That's right. So as you're listening to the first track, which is setting up the whole story and everything, they line you up. You really have to queue up for this. All the cars are queued up. And again, they thought this through, where they have like 3 separate lines, and they do like one whole line of cars at a time. We did wait there for a little while. Maybe it was like 15, Maybe 20 minutes. Maybe it was more like 15.
So it's like Haunted Graveyard setup.
It's like Haunted Graveyard setup at Lake
Three
Constance.
separate lines, and then they take one at a time. They keep rotating through.
That's right, yeah. And then on that first track, they run down all the rules.
No honking or engine revving. Follow all directional arrows and stay on the marked path. Vehicles must have at least 1/8 of a tank of gas to be admitted. Now, there's no smoking, and don't throw a lit cigarette out of your vehicle. A park ranger will be dispatched and will escort you out of the park. We are not responsible for damage to your vehicle as a result of your driving or interaction with another driver. Drivers and their vehicles will be recorded on camera throughout the experience.
Make sure to stay in your car. Do not put your foot on the gas. Just let the car coast. Always keep your foot over the brake. Go 3 to 5 miles an hour. There are no real hills or valleys, so you won't need to put your foot on the gas. And that made me think that I guess these people, the haunted Playhouse people, were fortunate enough to be able to do this drive-through where they had the setup where they could do this drive-through. A lot of other places, maybe they don't have enough space. They don't have flat land. They can't make it work too well. There are like some potholes in the road, which kind of added an element to it. Probably what's the thing?
Just a happy coincidence.
Yeah, just like a happy coincidence, happy accident. A little bumpiness was an added bonus.
Those terrain changes, those are great when you're on foot.
Yeah, so it was like a terrain change, but you're in your car.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really cool.
And so they really just want to hammer home, only go 3 to 5 miles an hour, do not hit the gas. Like, they tell you that 3 or 4 times before you get in there.
I could imagine that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if your car breaks down, put the hazards on, somebody will come get you.
Somebody will come kill you.
That's right.
Somebody will come kill you, probably.
Oh, they did say, it was weird. Before you go there, I was reading on the website, they said to always keep your windows up the whole time. But when we got there, the guy said, you can have your windows rolled down if you want. And they said, in fact, for the best experience, we recommend keeping the windows rolled down. So I had mine down, but I was the only one.
Amongst other cars, or you mean just in your car?
No, I'm saying in my car.
Okay.
I could see why they wanted the window rolled down. It does make a better connection between you and all the stuff that they have in there and the environment.
One more thing. Headlights or no headlights?
Oh, headlights must be on the whole time.
They're on. Okay.
Yes. Now that, because this is at night, it would be a little too dangerous probably without the headlights.
It's not quite a dark experience though if you got your own headlights on the whole time.
But the headlights only go so far. I can't see that far down the road.
Okay, that's true.
They did say try and keep something like 10 car lengths between cars.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Well, yeah, that was my next question. When you let each line go, then what was the format? Is it like the universal of a drive-through where it's a conga line of cars, or even the way Haunted Graveyard becomes that in the second half, or is it spaced out?
It's another parallel to Haunted Graveyard, where they give you one last spiel before they send you in there, and that gives the car ahead of you enough time to move far enough down the road to where you don't see it anymore. Because there are a lot of turns. You're not just going in a straight line. Yeah, you start out spaced out, but that only lasted till maybe about halfway through, and then it just became one big line.
Okay.
Because people aren't going to drive consistently, just like people aren't going to walk consistently. And I did notice some people they did make full stops to try and space out the cars a little bit more. I did the opposite, where I was kind of on the guy in front of me because I didn't want to make the problem worse behind me. I don't know if it really helped.
Yeah, so it's meant to be an experience where you feel like you're the only one in there.
Yeah. Now, there are certain sections where that was going to be impossible just because of a couple sections were in like open fields. That you kind of snake back and forth through.
Oh, so you could see the other side where the cars come back, like switchbacked.
Yeah, I mean, you could see like the whole not the whole layout, but part of it, and you could see other cars go through it.
Okay.
But at least for the beginning, I really did feel like I was the only car out there. And it is dark. And it was legitimately kind of creepy.
I really want to go.
That's good.
Because you do feel like you're just like out in the woods, in the middle of nowhere. And so they did set up some sets. The first section was kind of like backwoods, like crazy backwoods people. And they set up some little shacks, and they had lighting out there, like colored lighting.
Show lighting.
And they even had like they even had a couple of projections at some point. And they have characters. And the biggest thing is they can still get you.
What? Really?
Even in a moving vehicle outside,
yeah,
they can still get you. Because they got me a couple times.
Got you? All right, well, now...
I think they got me about 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Because now I'm just thinking, like, so are they kind of getting dangerous? Are they, like, are they hiding, crouching down right next to you and then popping up?
So they do get pretty close to the car. They do come probably within, maybe about a foot away from the car.
Okay.
Well,
so they're pretty much right there. And, they say stuff and they make noises. And a couple of them did the thing where they would start out from far away and then they would run right up to your car, which was kind of weird and effective.
Okay.
But what they also do is, it's so funny how this still applies. They set up barriers on either side of the road, so you would have to drive around it. You'd have to, like, do a turn to get around it. And then there'd be somebody waiting on the other side. Just like they do in any other haunt. Where they use corners, they use other sides of walls. They did it, and it worked.
I mean, awesome. Misdirection? Was there any misdirection?
I don't think there was too much of that.
That might be one step too far, especially for the driver.
Yeah.
You have to kind of be looking ahead.
Yeah, that never left my mind. I was always conscious of, like, okay, I need to pay attention and make sure I don't run into any set or any person. And maybe the craziest thing that they did, and it was right in this first section. This first section was probably the best because I felt alone, and they were kind of popping out better. And one thing they did was I could see in the distance someone dragging a baby cart behind them. And it's just like a really eerie image to see, like, in the distance on the road, somebody crossing the road, dragging this baby cart, and they go behind a wall, and as I'm getting closer to the wall, they push the baby cart out in front of the car, so it goes across the road. And they waited, like, a pretty long time. It felt, I'm sure the baby car was, when they pushed it, the car was pretty far, probably, but it felt really close.
That's crazy.
So that was maybe the craziest gag that I saw. And they have your clown section. They had like a carnival section. They even rented some carnival rides and, like, set them up. They had like a dragon wagon.
A dragon wagon?
Yeah. And a couple other things. Like a hub and spoke ride. They had some sort of, like, mental hospital or escaped mental patient section. They had some sort of, like, satanic worship or witches section, something like that.
All the cliche.
Yeah. All the classic stuff, yeah.
So were the rides moving or no?
No, they were not moving.
Were they plugged in? I guess the lights were on?
No, I don't think the rides themselves were actually plugged in. They just had other lights.
Oh, really? That's really weird then. Okay. All right, so then it really is very haunted graveyard. Of course, we keep mentioning that. We did say it at the top, but it's like compounds we're talking about. It's even like that with the different sections that don't necessarily connect.
Yes, it's just like one long thing. Again, there's supposed to be some sort of story, I guess, connecting them, but I wasn't paying attention to it.
But it doesn't. I mean, it sounds like it's just the typical stuff, all in a row.
Yes.
The clown house, the witch house, not that it's bad stuff, just, nothing that broke the mold as far as theme.
No, I wouldn't say that. And so they would use picnic tables as barriers, and the trailer, part of like a tractor trailer. So you'd have to, like, drive around those. They'd use those as barriers too. What
fog?
Else? No fog. I guess they didn't even attempt.
Because that'd be all right. With your headlights on, that'd be too dangerous. Okay.
Probably. Oh yeah, that too. Sure.
That makes it worse. Yeah.
One of the characters, they did something kind of cool. They started out on the right side of the car, and then they walked around the back and came up to the driver's side, and that was weird. Like, I could see him doing it. It wasn't like he surprised me, but it was just, again, it was kind of unsettling to see this guy walk around your car, where it's like, all right, I know he's gonna like be in my face in a second, but I don't know, it's just weird to see him like in the rearview mirror and make the journey.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like the fact that you were in your car did kind of make it more real, maybe, is what it sounds like almost.
Well, it's like it's your piece of property. It's almost like they're invading your space.
It's like, well, like the next step would be like inviting them to your house.
Yeah.
It'd be like if somehow that was possible, like, you know, a mini version of the game. They come to your house, like they come to you.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine that would make it a lot more intense and freaky.
Sure, yeah.
It's like you didn't drive to Universal Studios or even your local Six Flags or whatever. Like, you're looking out your window, your bedroom window, and there's someone like walking, doing something weird and creepy.
Yeah.
Because now it's like you said, it's your rear view mirror, and like you're looking and then like, oh shit, there's a creeper like walking by.
Yeah, because it's your actual private real world colliding with the fantasy horror world.
Yeah, I can see that, because normally when we go to the events, whether they be in the parks or the private ones, like, but when you're back in your car, that's when it's over.
Yeah.
That's when you're back to reality. That's when you're pulling out and then you're talking about it on the drive home. And now for this, it's like that's part of it.
Yeah.
So I can see that being different and in a good way, I guess. Especially for us, because it's easy to start getting jaded with this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I could see where you're coming from. That it would be neat.
And then the last track is kind of like the closing credits. And the guy's supposed to be like, he's the radio DJ guy's like really freaked out.
What is that? Oh, you got to thank Walk 97.5, K-Joy 98.3, 94.3 The Shark, and of course, you're not going to forget, but you got to thank 103.1 Max FM. You got to thank the sponsors. You got to thank Windorama. You got to thank T-Mobile. And you have to tell them about Gateway's other haunted attraction.
And that's it. And then like the last little stretch of road is just like leads you to like the real road that you take to go home. So
now, do you come full circle, or do you get thrown out somewhere different than where you started?
No, it's pretty close to the actual entrance to the park.
No, so good attraction design.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I was very impressed with the whole experience. These guys really thought about it and did a very good job.
Sounds like it. It sounds
well, because
cool.
you said there is also a walkthrough, so you would want to go back and as close to a full circle as you could, because what if you wanted to do the walkthrough after?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Or if you're with other people who are doing the walkthrough but not the drive-through or something, or I don't know, younger kids, but the parents didn't want to do it at all, so they're just like waiting in the car.
So the only thing is maybe, because my mom was sitting in the back seat, she said it was a little harder for her to see what was going on.
Okay.
Sitting in the back, so I guess best seats are the driver and the passenger.
So it's like most dark rides.
Yeah.
And simulators to a big extent as well. Like, you really got to be in the front.
Yeah.
To get the full effect.
Yeah. So there is that. But yeah, really good. A lot of fun. I would definitely do it again if they have it next year. Brigands Run is their outdoor trail of terror. And they do have Not So Scary Kids Adventure.
Oh.
I wonder where they got that name from. and they do drive-in movies. I guess they play some scary movies.
Oh, just like right now during this event?
Yeah. So they got a couple things going on over there.
So that's not a bad idea. So it sounds like you could make an evening out of it.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, so the entire thing, the actual drive-through was probably about 45 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
It was a decent length.
Again, haunted graveyard.
Haunted graveyard, right?
It's really like that in every way, just with cars.
So beginning to end, the whole thing took probably about an hour or so.
I was just wondering, you especially as the driver, did that take away from it? We just went into how the fact that you're in your private car maybe added something, but then did being the driver take away something in terms of the fact that you couldn't get into the fantasy 100%? Because, right, you still had to be cognizant of safety and the fact that you're driving. I mean, did you not? I mean, were you able to kind of blur those lines?
Yeah, I think I was able to do both things pretty well. I guess being the passenger for something like that would be preferable, so you don't have to focus on driving and you can look at the sets and the gags in better detail.
Yeah, you're in the front. Like, that's the best seat in the house then, right? The passenger.
Yeah, probably. I would think so. Yeah, and they were attacking both sides of the car evenly. It wasn't like one side was getting all of it. But because you're coasting and all I have to do is just kind of pump the brake every now and again, it really wasn't that bad. It's almost a non-issue.
Okay. Yeah, so now I wonder, even post-pandemic, if things like this will continue, depending on what the response is. I wonder what the overall response is so far.
I wonder.
You got a positive review right here on the show to start, for us. Mm-hmm. You're the first person I know who's done one. And
it was packed. There were a lot of cars waiting to go through it.
That's good. That's a good sign. I mean, that's not terribly surprising, knowing that New York, I think, is one of still the strictest rules of any state still in the union as far as keeping things closed.
Yeah.
I know amusement parks were never allowed to open in 2020. One of the only states that I think they're in California. So people were a little extra entertainment starved. But yeah, I saw it's cool. I could see it. I could see people checking it out.
But again, even I say it was packed, but they do have timed reservations, so they know their capacity. They were able to cap it.
Now, I mean, you're in your private car, so did masks matter? Were they checking that?
I mean, at the ticket booth, I think there might have been a sign you have to wear a mask because you're interacting with someone. And then also there were 2 other times when the people who work there, when they would kind of run through their safety spiel, at your window, and I put a mask on for that. I wasn't going to leave the mask on for the actual drive-through, but I ended up leaving it on. We all did. I don't think we really had to, but since I had my window down, I felt like maybe I should keep it on. I thought that was like the better bargain. Window down, mask on, as opposed to window up, no mask.
Yeah.
And then did the characters wear masks?
The characters wore masks, yes.
But I mean, that could just add to creepiness.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. All right.
All right.
So that's Forgotten Road. I would say do not forget the Forgotten Road.
Yeah, you got a haunt in 2020.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Good for you.
It continues, yeah.
I mean, I guess, there's still a number going on, I guess, overall. I don't know if they should be, but they are.
Sure. Well, I mean, Universal opened up 2 houses.
Yeah, should we talk about that for a second? It's no surprise, I'm sure, to anybody listening to this, that Halloween Horror Nights 30 was canceled, which, was, I think, the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they ended up, opening 2?
Yep, they opened 2.
They let the public into 2 of the houses that were already, obviously finished, and they're just doing it during their regular operating hours throughout the month of October. I think they tested it for a day in September, and then they went ahead, and it's just been going on every operating day, as far as I know.
I think so, yeah.
So that's interesting. They decided to use 2 of their Universal originals, not IP houses.
They're wasting the good stuff.
So they're depending how we're going to look at it. They're not. I guess they're looking at it as they're not wasting the IPs.
Well,
experiment.
No, that's not true. I mean, they did Bride of Frankenstein for one of them, but it's Universal's own thing, so they didn't, I guess, have to do hard negotiations. For that.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. So it's the Bride of Frankenstein, which is actually being considered the Universal Monsters sequel. How it was billed, or at least meant to be billed, if the event had gone on. And I know when I told Coaster Cat, she was disappointed, because I believe that was all 3 of our favorite haunted house last year.
I think so, yeah.
The sequel house we're never going to be able to see, because they're running it out in this little weird 2-house experiment. And then the other one was something about a demented tooth fairy.
Yeah, it was like tooth fairy themed.
Which that sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird year.
A little bit.
It's weird. It's weird that they're doing that though. It's such a weird putting like half your foot into it. I don't like why they didn't do the event, and I understood that, but then they did this. I guess they're just trying to throw some of the people a bone, the local crowd. Like, here's something, we'll still give you something.
The cost of running the full event just wouldn't have been worth it, I guess.
Yeah, because the attendance would have had to have been limited.
Right. Yeah.
And then I guess the question would be, even with that, like, how many people would show up? I mean, I think maybe attendance is getting a little better now, but when they had to make these decisions, attendance was terrible for a while, I think over the summer.
Well, yeah, you have that, and then, again, I don't know if it would have been worth it to even just run the event like they're doing now, just during regular operating hours, not even make it a special ticket event.
Do all houses, you're saying? Like, do the whole thing?
So I just don't, it just probably wasn't worth it. And they were also probably thinking, we have a whole team that put a ton of time and effort into making these houses, and then it's like they're going to go to waste, where it's like so few people are going to see them that it's like, you know what, we'll just save it for next year, and like that'll at least save a little money. Yeah,
so I mean, now do you think, though, that they, like this Bride of Frankenstein and this Tooth Fairy house, were these the ones that they were the least excited about?
I feel like they had to have been.
Because I wonder how this all came together. Like, was it just management, upper management saying, okay, we decided we're going to open 2 anyway during operating, regular operating hours. So just pick 2. I don't care. And then, like, the Halloween crew, did they like have to go through and be like, well, I guess these are the 2 we felt the least confident about, so we'll just throw these 2 away.
Again, I don't know if like cost had anything to do with it, where it's like, I don't know if one house is really any cheaper to run than any other one,
or did that have something to play into this? I wonder.
Or even just what was the most done and ready to go.
Yeah,
that too. Sure.
A few others may have had more work to be done that was halted at some point, so it was kind of like, well, these 2 are finished, so maybe maybe that had nothing else had anything to do with it. Maybe
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Like most things, it was a combination of factors, and these were the 2. Yeah, it's like if you got these 2 in, that's really hardcore.
Yeah.
That's like a weird like badge of pride. It's like, I don't know if you really should be going to that, but like, you got him in? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not going to be part of the event, the actual event when it comes back. I mean, assuming it comes back next year, I would also assume that these 2 won't be part of that. It'd be kind of funny if they were, though.
That would be funny, yeah.
They just kept them going all year.
And they just kind of like, these are just part of it. Anyway. So it was more of a preview then, if you did it this year?
They could always change it a little bit. And like, I mean, so few people are going to actually experience them, compared to the numbers they would normally do. But yeah. I'm sure they will not bring them back. I don't know. It doesn't really make a difference to me.
By the fact that you could probably go on YouTube and see it now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, yeah, you can do that.
So it's kind of like that. I mean, they would probably not want to do that then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Because when it does happen eventually, it will be the 30th.
Right.
So they still want to have that big milestone event. And now I'm just thinking, like, at least for me, like, it was already a milestone year, and I figured they might do something special. We did find out, right? They were going to bring some old stuff back, or some old icons back, or whatever.
It looks like that. It looks like they were going to either do one house or maybe several houses based on the icons from past years, and it looks like they were probably going to do a Beetlejuice house.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll do all that, hopefully. But I know for me, personally, like, I'm expecting the best houses ever. And my rationale is because they essentially have 2 years to work on it. Because now they actually have a situation where they could actually just go back to the drawing board and like tweak the houses that they were, already in the process of building to make them like the best ever. Like, they actually have time to go back and fix the weak spots.
It's a really, really weird situation because it's even better than just having 2 years. They actually built these houses. So it's like they can actually like road test them for real.
Yeah. They could test them in a way that they've never been able to do before.
Right. This is like this is a once in a lifetime situation, really. I mean, we're trying to find positives here, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, geez, hopefully anyway, it'll go back to just being normal after this, where you'll have the usual 12-month cycle, and hopefully no more catastrophes like this will happen in our lifetime.
Right.
So, but yeah, for right now, it's like, yeah, they have this extra time to tweak the houses that they were already working on. Maybe change one out completely if, again, they weren't that confident in it originally. They really have time to fix this and make it the best ever. And I hate to go in with that mindset, but I feel like I'm going to have to next year, because then it's going to be like, if it's not the best ever, I'm going to be kind of like, they had all that extra time to work on it, and that's all they did.
When did they call it? Like, when did they decide they weren't going to do it?
I don't remember when it was. It was August sometime?
I think, they waited until, I think, like, weeks before, or maybe a month before.
Well, because don't they start planning the next year's, like, 14 or 16 months in advance or something?
Yeah, it's like they were already...
So if this one isn't the best one ever, maybe... If 2021 isn't the best one ever, 2022 definitely should be.
Oh, yeah, or if they really do decide to not touch this one anymore, like if it was already in production, then let's just leave it, and then maybe it'll be 31.
So one of the next 2 years should be really amazing.
They have extra time, no matter how you look at it. Yeah.
Or both of them, because they could tweak this one a little and work on the other one more.
That's what you hope, unless of course they just laid everybody off, and then and nothing's being worked on, and then they have the same schedule. So it's like you really don't know how this is all going to play out.
True, yeah.
So, I mean, it's good. I'm really happy, though, that there are events going on. People need distraction this year.
Yeah.
Especially. Mm-hmm. The real horror is just out there.
Yeah.
That's the horror this year. It's just the real world. So, this is nice that there's at least something going on.
Happy Halloween!
So, happy Halloween! I don't know. We'll catch you next year. We'll do something next year. Thanks for driving through Halloween.
Thanks for riding.